Before fire, there was only darkness, vast, merciless, alive. The Paleolithic world trembled beneath the growls of unseen predators and the chill of endless night. Humans huddled together in caves, whispering to keep fear at bay, each sunset a battle for survival. The dark was not emptiness. It was danger given shape, a living force that ruled the earth. Yet within that fear flickered defiance. Somewhere, deep in the shadows, humanity's first dream was born, the dream to create light, and to never again bow before the night. A spark, a branch, smoke rising into the dusk. Somewhere in ancient Africa, humanity's trembling hands reached toward a miracle and claimed it. The wild flame, once born of lightning and fear, now danced under human control. They learned to feed it with dry wood, to shield it from rain, to cradle its embers like treasure. Around it, warmth replaced terror, and raw flesh turned to nourishment. The beasts stayed away, but people drew closer. Fire gave them more than safety. It gave them each other. In its glow, humanity found not just survival, but the beginning of civilization built around the fire. Something extraordinary was born. The crackle of flame became a rhythm, the flicker of light a stage. Voices rose, weaving memory into story. Hunts rattled as triumphs. Dangers turned into legends. Hands moved with purpose, shadows danced upon the cave walls, and imagination took its first breath. Faces glowed in the orange light, their laughter breaking the silence that once ruled the night. Fear faded, replaced by wonder and connection. In those circles of light, humanity found its soul, the birth of story, of song, of a shared heartbeat that would echo through all time. Under the trembling glow of the fire, the tribe gathers. A hunter, painted in red ochre, moves like the beasts he once chased, fierce, graceful, alive. Around him, drums rise from sticks and stones. Voices chant in rhythm with the earth itself. What begins as imitation becomes invocation. Each movement calls to unseen forces, each beat a promise for tomorrow's hunt. The fire no longer just warms, it consecrates. The circle becomes holy ground. The dance becomes prayer. In that moment, humanity creates its first ritual and its first festival. Dawn creeps across the horizon, and the last embers whisper into ash. Yet something endures, a bond forged in flame. Fire has given warmth, yes, but also wonder. What once shielded them from the night now gathers them in its memory. Around the ashes, they laugh, they share, they live. For the first time, survival becomes celebration. In that ancient glow, humanity learns its first truth: to survive, we must celebrate together once. Humanity moved with the wind, hunters chasing herds across frozen plains, wanderers bound to the mercy of the seasons. But as the Ice Age melted away, a quiet revolution took root. Seeds were pressed into soil, and from them, a new way of life emerged. For the first time, people stayed. They built, they planted, they waited. The earth was no longer just a landscape. It was a living partner. The rising sun became their clock, the moon their silent guide, the rain their hope. Each green shoot that broke through the ground was a promise, a prayer answered. Humanity had begun to cultivate not just food, but the rhythm of civilization itself. To understand the earth, humanity looked upward. The heavens became their teacher. They watched how the stars drifted across the night, how the sun's arc grew longer or shorter, how the shadows crept and shrank with time. Patterns emerged, the language of the sky revealing the rhythm of the seasons. Bones and stones were etched with markings, the first calendars ever made, guiding when to plant, when to harvest, when to prepare for hardship. The solstice was not a date, but a revelation, a divine meeting between human effort and cosmic design. Across early villages, people gathered beneath the stars, singing to the heavens, believing their voices could keep the universe in balance. Each season unfolded like a sacred story written by the earth itself. Spring brought renewal, the scent of blossoms, the promise of birth. People offered milk, seeds, and song to awaken the sleeping soil. Summer followed, vibrant and golden, when crops rose high and life pulsed with abundance. Then came autumn, the time of gratitude. Fields emptied, fires blazed, and tribes gathered to feast and dance in thanksgiving. But winter was the reckoning. The sun waned, and fear returned. Fires were kept alive through endless nights. Prayers whispered to summon its rebirth. These were not mere customs, they were survival in motion. Humanity's heartbeat sensing to nature's fragile rhythm. Dawn breaks on the longest night's end. Before the towering stones, the tribe waits, faces painted in ochre and ash, hearts pounding in rhythm with the drums. The horizon glows, then a single beam of sunlight cuts through the monument's center, igniting gasps and tears. In that instant, heaven and earth unite. The sun is reborn, and with it, hope. This is no mere spectacle. It is a covenant renewed. Across ages, from Göbekli Tepe to Stonehenge, such moments bound humanity to the cosmos, proof that even in prehistory, people reached beyond survival to celebrate their place in the universe. Generations rose and fell, but the festivals endured. They were lessons written in rhythm, teaching patience, gratitude, and reverence for the living earth. To early humans, nature was not a foe to defeat, but a spirit to honor. Through song, feast, and firelight, they bound themselves to this cycle of creation. From soil to stars, from seed to flame, they learned the oldest truth. To celebrate nature is to remember we belong to it. Before temples rose or gods had names, humanity felt the pulse of the unseen, the rustle of wind through the grass, the crackle of fire, the haunting cry of beasts, all whispered of forces beyond understanding. Life and death were mysteries too vast to ignore, and so all became belief. Every river, stone, and tree was alive, filled with spirit and will. The world was not silent, it was speaking, and among the listeners emerged the first shamans, voices between realms, guardians of balance, interpreters of the invisible. The shaman was never ordinary. Set apart by visions, sickness, or solitude, they were the ones who walked the threshold between worlds. Draped in feathers, bones, and painted skins, they became living symbols of transformation. With drums that echoed like thunder and chants that trembled through the air, they slipped beyond the veil of waking life. In trance, they spoke to ancestors and spirits that guarded the earth and sky. Their wisdom guided the tribe, where to hunt, when to heal, how to survive. Each drumbeat was the universe breathing, a sacred dialogue between the human soul and the eternal unknown. When the tribes gathered beneath the stars, their feasts were not merely celebrations, they were acts of communion. Food was shared with the living, and offerings were made to the unseen. Blood spilled onto the earth, smoke rose toward the heavens, and carved totems stood as messengers between worlds. Each song that echoed through the night carried gratitude, fear, and faith. Archaeological traces, patterned bones, ochre figurines, sacred stones reveal how these rituals bound people together. In giving to the spirits, they reaffirmed their place in creation, a fragile pact of respect between humankind and the restless power of nature. The night falls strange and heavy. The moon, once full and bright, begins to fade, swallowed by an invisible hand. Whispers turn to cries. Fear ripples through the tribe. But the shaman rises, painted in black and white, his voice piercing the silence. Drums thunder, feet pound the earth, and the people dance, a desperate rhythm against the dying light. This is no ordinary night. It is a battle between life and death, darkness and hope. Then, as the moon slowly returns, the cries turn to joy. The ritual has worked. The sky is whole again, and so are they. As dawn breaks, the fire softens to ash, but its power endures. The trance, the chant, the faith, they linger in every heart. From these ancient nights were born the seeds of myth and the first whispers of gods. Long before temples or scripture, belief was already alive, carried in every drumbeat, promising that even in darkness, life would rise again. As the Neolithic world awakened, humanity's vision began to rise beyond the harvest fields. The same hands that once sowed seeds now reached for the heavens. Across windswept plains, people dreamed of permanence, of gratitude carved in stone. Without wheels, without metal, they moved mountains, lifting slabs that defied belief. These were not mere builders, they were dreamers, guided by rhythm, faith, and the stars above. The earth became their canvas, and each monument a prayer in stone. A message to time itself that celebration, once fleeting, could now endure forever, across misty hills and open plains. Humanity began to shape the earth into meaning. They raised circles of stone, rows and chambers aligned with the pulse of the heavens, vast calendars of faith and precision. At Carnac in France, hundreds of megaliths stand like frozen dancers. In Ireland, Newgrange glows with the sun's first light each winter solstice. And in Britain, Stonehenge rises, a cathedral built not for gods of flesh, but of sky. Nearby, remnants of feasts and painted rituals tell a deeper truth. These stones were not tombs, but theaters where earth, spirit, and cosmos met. As the great stone circles rose from the earth, their purpose grew beyond ritual. They became magnets for humanity itself. From distant valleys and coastlines, tribes journeyed for days, bringing gifts, food, and songs carried by the wind. These were the first great festivals, part sacred pilgrimage, part marketplace, part meeting of hearts. Around vast fires, Laughter mingled with the beat of drums. Stories were traded, marriages sealed, and alliances born. Strangers became kin beneath the gaze of the stones. In these gatherings, humanity discovered something profound: that unity, not isolation, was the true rhythm of survival and joy. Winter holds the land in its icy grip. Beneath a sky of glittering stars, torches flicker, casting long shadows against the stones. The people gather, their breath misting in the cold air, hearts pounding in anticipation. Then the horizon ignites. A blade of golden light slices through the monument's passage, striking its sacred heart. A roar rises from the crowd. The sun has returned. Joy erupts into song, into dance, into feasts that stretch through the night. This is no mere celebration. It is survival made sacred. In this luminous moment, humanity renews its ancient promise with the living world. Centuries fade, yet the stones endure, silent giants watching over time. They were never monuments to conquest, but to connection. In their stillness, they whisper of firelit nights, of music carried by wind, of joy turned to stone. These were humanity's first temples of wonder, where beauty, faith, and celebration were carved not for gods, but for the soul itself. The ancient fires have long turned to ash, and the stones stand silent beneath drifting clouds. Yet the spark they kindled never died. What once flickered in caves now burns in memory, carried through songs, dances, and stories passed from one generation to the next. Those gatherings of survival became rituals, then myths, then the roots of culture itself. From the Stone Age to now, one truth endures: humanity's deepest instinct is to unite, to celebrate, and to find meaning in shared joy. Every festival we celebrate today carries the heartbeat of an ancient one. The bonfires of midsummer, the painted faces of dancers, the feasts of harvest, all are echoes of ceremonies first born beneath Stone Age skies. Across continents and centuries, the language of celebration never changed. Gratitude for life, fear of loss, hope for renewal. From Europe's solstice fires to Asia's colorful harvest dances, the rhythm endures. Anthropologists trace its path through symbols, myths, and song. Whether called Holi, Yule, or Thanksgiving, every festival shares the same pulse. Humanity's timeless instinct to honor survival through joy and light. Celebration was never just pleasure, it was survival. In those circles of fire and song, early humans learned something vital. Joy could unite where fear once divided. The laughter shared over a meal, the rhythm of feet striking earth. These were not luxuries but lifelines. They forged trust, reduced conflict, and turned fragile groups into thriving communities. Modern science now confirms what our ancestors instinctively knew. The brain rewards connection with waves of warmth and belonging. From primal dances to modern festivals, celebration shaped civilization itself, teaching humanity its most enduring lesson: we survive not alone, but together. Across the modern world, the ancient flame endures. In crowded cities lit by fireworks, and in quiet deserts where tribes still dance beneath the stars, humanity continues the same ritual to celebrate life in all its forms: birth, love, harvest, and hope. Every chant, every drumbeat, Every glowing lantern carries echoes of the first fire. From that primal spark to every dawn that follows, the story remains the same. Wherever humanity exists, the fire of celebration still dances within us.